Commander Nira Patil stood at the observation deck of the TDF Artemis, watching distant stars blur past as they pushed through the depths of unexplored space. 20 years of deep space exploration had taught her that true discoveries rarely announce themselves with fanfare. They came quietly, hiding in anomalous sensor readings and unexplained phenomena. But this time was different. "Commander," Dr. Marcus Wong's voice crackled through the ship's comm system. "You need to see this." The subtle tremor in his usually steady voice made her straighten. Marcus wasn't one for dramatic announcements. In the science lab, Marcus hunched over his workstation, his dark eyes reflecting scrolling data streams. "It's a quantum signature," he said without looking up. "But the pattern. It matches the colonial fleet that disappeared 300 years ago." Naira's breath caught in her throat. The loss of the colonial fleet was humanity's greatest tragedy. 12 massive ships carrying 50,000 colonists, vanishing without a trace during humanity's first attempt at large-scale space colonization. The incident had set human expansion back by centuries. "Location?" she asked, forcing her voice to remain steady. "That's the strange part." Marcus pulled up a holographic map. "It's coming from the Deneb sector, but that region was thoroughly searched after the disappearance. There's nothing there but dead systems and cosmic radiation." Nira studied the pulsing dot on the map. "Plot a course. And Marcus, keep this quiet for now. The last thing we need is false hope spreading through the ranks." As the Artemis altered course, Nira retreated to her quarters, accessing historical records of the colonial fleet's disappearance. The ships had been state-of-the-art for their time. Massive vessels designed to carry thousands of colonists in cryogenic sleep to distant stars. Their disappearance had sparked countless theories, from equipment failure to alien intervention. But 3 centuries of searching had yielded nothing. 3 days later, they arrived at the signal source. The ship's sensors pierced the darkness, revealing nothing. Just empty space and stellar debris. "I don't understand," Marcus muttered, recalibrating the sensors. "The signature is stronger here, but there's nothing visible." Naira was about to order a broader scan when First Officer Ray-Jen appeared on the bridge. "Commander, we're detecting unusual gravitational distortions. They're forming some kind of pattern." Before she could respond, space itself seemed to ripple before them. A massive structure phased into existence, its hull bearing the faded insignia of the colonial fleet. But this was no derelict vessel. Lines of energy pulsed beneath its surface, and its design incorporated technology far beyond anything humanity currently possessed. "By all the stars," Marcus whispered, "it's the horizon's dawn. But it's evolved." A transmission cut through their comm system, its signature matching colonial fleet protocols, but carrying complexities their systems barely understood. A voice spoke, both familiar and alien in its cadence. "This is Captain Ryland Voss of the Horizon's Dawn to approaching vessel. You've been expected, Commander Patil. We've spent 3 centuries preparing for this moment." Nira exchanged glances with her crew. "Preparing for what?" "For the war that's coming. The threat that forced us to disappear, to evolve beyond recognition. We had to let humanity believe we were lost, had to let them develop along a different path. Because what's approaching from the galactic core will require both our advanced technology and humanity's unique adaptability." As Nira processed these words, more ships began appearing around them, each bearing the marks of the lost colonial fleet, but transformed by centuries of hidden development. Their sensors detected power readings that defy their understanding of physics. "We need your help, Commander," Captain Voss continued, "to unite Earth's scattered children and prepare them for what's coming. The question is, are you ready to learn why we really disappeared 300 years ago?" Naira looked at her crew, seeing the same mix of shock and determination on their faces. 3 centuries of mystery were about to be unraveled, but she suspected the answers would bring more questions and challenges than anyone could imagine. "We're ready, Captain Voss," she replied. "Tell us everything." The shuttle bay of the Horizon's Dawn dwarfed anything Nira had seen in her career. As their transport vessel touched down, she noticed how the metal beneath them seemed to shift and adapt, creating a perfect docking seal without any mechanical components. Beside her, Dr. Marcus Wong was practically vibrating with scientific curiosity. The entire ship is composed of adaptive metalloids, Captain Ryland Voss explained as he approached their shuttle. He was tall and lean, with silver threads running through his dark hair, the only visible sign of age in his otherwise youthful appearance. What you're seeing is 3 centuries of technological evolution, guided by necessity and desperation. Nira studied their host carefully. Despite his colonial fleet uniform, everything about him seemed subtly different from standard human baseline. His movements too fluid, his eyes holding an intensity that spoke of enhanced perception. "You've changed more than just your ships," she observed. Voss smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "We had to. What we discovered out here, it required adaptation on every level. Please, follow me." They walked through corridors that seemed to breathe, passing crew members who all shared that same subtle otherness as their captain. Marcus was scanning everything with barely concealed excitement, his handheld devices struggling to make sense of the technology surrounding them. The colonial fleet's disappearance wasn't an accident, Voss explained as they entered what appeared to be a command center, though it bore little resemblance to any bridge Nira had seen. 3 months into our journey, our long-range sensors detected something impossible, a gravitational anomaly moving against the galactic rotation, consuming everything in its path. Holographic displays materialized around them, showing the movement of something massive and dark through the galaxy. Data streams indicated it had already devoured several star systems. "We couldn't return to warn Earth," Voss continued. "Our calculations showed the entity was sensitive to faster-than-light signatures. Any attempt to reach populated space would have led it straight to humanity's core worlds. So we ran, searching for a way to fight something that defied physics as we understood them. And that's when you began to change." Marcus interjected, his scientific mind piecing the puzzle together. "Yes, we found ancient ruins scattered across dead systems, evidence of civilizations that had faced this threat before. Some had fought and perished. Others had evolved and survived, leaving behind fragments of their knowledge. We absorbed everything we could find, transformed ourselves and our ships, preparing for the day it would threaten Earth." Nira watched as more displays activated, showing the colonial fleet's journey through unexplored space. "Why reveal yourselves now?" "Because it's changing course," Voss replied grimly. "Our projections show it will reach Earth's sector within 5 years. We need to prepare humanity's defenses, but we can't do it alone. Our evolution has taken us too far from our original nature. We need Earth's military strength, its industries, and most importantly, its unpredictability." A new figure entered the command center, a woman whose skin seemed to shimmer with bioluminescent patterns. "The integration protocols are ready, Captain," she announced, then turned to Nira. "Commander Patel, I'm Dr. Diana Foster, Chief of Xenobiological Research. We've spent decades developing ways to share our advancements without triggering catastrophic biological changes in unmodified humans." "Integration protocols?" Marcus asked, his excitement tempered by caution. "Controlled technological evolution," Diana explained. "A way to bridge the gap between what humanity is and what it needs to become to survive what's coming. But it will require trust, cooperation, and sacrifice from both sides." Nira felt the weight of history pressing down on her shoulders. The decision she made here would affect the entire human race. "Show me everything," she said finally. "If we're going to convince Earth's governments to accept help from their long-lost children, we need to understand exactly what we're asking them to become." Voss nodded solemnly. "Remember, Commander, what you're about to see isn't just about technological advancement. It's about the next step in human evolution, a step we were forced to take in isolation, but one that all of humanity must now consider if we're to survive the darkness approaching from the galactic core." As the command center filled with new holographic displays, Neera steeled herself for revelations that would reshape humanity's understanding of not just their future, but their very nature. The lost colonial fleet hadn't just survived. They had transcended, and now they were offering to guide humanity along the same path. The question was, would Earth be ready to take such a monumental leap? Admiral James Rodriguez stood before the United Earth Council, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic displays showing the horizon's dawn and its transformed fleet. The chamber was silent, dozens of world leaders processing the implications of what they'd just heard. 3 centuries of silence. Council President Bihar finally spoke, her voice tight with controlled emotion. 3 centuries of mourning our lost colonists, only to discover they've been watching us all along. They were protecting us, Rodriguez responded, sharing a knowing look with Commander Patel, who stood at attention beside him. Every decision they made was to prepare humanity for survival, by becoming something other than human. General Santos interrupted, his fist striking the polished table. The biological modifications Captain Voss described. They're an abomination of everything we are. The chamber erupted in heated debate until a new figure stepped forward from the shadows. Ambassador Dara Singh moved with liquid grace, her diplomatic robes rustling softly. Perhaps we should ask ourselves why they felt such extreme measures were necessary. On the massive screens behind them, new data streamed from the Horizon's Dawn's quantum databases. Dr. Marcus Wong's voice narrated from his position at the science station. The entity they discovered isn't just a gravitational anomaly. It's intelligent, purposeful. The colonial fleet found evidence of hundreds of civilizations it had consumed over millions of years. And now it's coming here, Rodriguez continued. But we have something none of those other civilizations had. Advance warning and preparation. Ambassador Singh activated a private data channel to the council members' neural interfaces. What you're about to see was recorded by the colonial fleet's deep space probes. This is what happens when the entity reaches an inhabited system. The footage showed a star system much like Sol. Then something massive moved through space, darker than the void itself. Where it passed, reality seemed to warp and fold. Planets didn't just die. They ceased to exist, their very matter consumed and converted into something incomprehensible. The colonial fleet's evolution wasn't about abandoning humanity, Singh explained. It was about expanding what humanity could become. They've developed technologies that can bend space itself, biological enhancements that allow humans to process information at quantum speeds, and weapons that can affect the very fabric of reality. At what cost? General Santos demanded. Look at them. They're barely human anymore. They're what we need to be. Commander Patel spoke up, her voice carrying the weight of someone who had seen too much to stay silent. I've walked their halls, seen their children. They're different, yes, but in their hearts, they're still human. They still laugh, love, dream. They've just evolved to face a threat we can barely comprehend. Rodriguez nodded to Dr. Wong, who activated the next series of displays. The integration protocols they've developed aren't just about physical enhancement. They're about awakening potential that already exists within human DNA, potential we've barely begun to tap. There's something else, Singh added, her expression grave. The colonial fleet didn't just find evidence of civilizations destroyed by this entity. They found proof that Earth has faced this threat before. The genetic markers they used for their evolutionary jumps, they were already present in human DNA, dormant but waiting. As if something in our distant past knew this day would come. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity's entire history might have been preparation for this moment, guided by ancestors who had faced the same threat eons ago. We have a choice, Rodriguez concluded. We can reject their help, cling to our current form, and face extinction. Or we can embrace this evolution, unite with our lost children, and stand against the darkness. But we need to decide now. The entity's course is fixed, its hunger unchanging. Earth has 5 years to prepare. President Bihar rose slowly, her eyes scanning the assembled leaders. We need time to discuss this. The implications. With respect, Madam President, Paddle interrupted. Time is the one thing we don't have. The colonial fleet's sensors detect increased quantum disturbances. The entity is accelerating. Ambassador Singh stepped forward again. There's one more thing you need to know. The colonial fleet, they didn't just evolve themselves. They'd spent centuries seeding preparations throughout Earth's sphere of influence. Dormant technologies, hidden outposts, genetic triggers waiting to be activated. They knew we might resist, so they ensured we'd have every possible advantage when the time came. As the council chamber erupted in fresh debate, Rodriguez shared a knowing look with Singh. They had both seen the classified files, the strange anomalies, and unexplained technological leaps throughout human history. The colonial fleet hadn't just been preparing themselves, they had been guiding humanity's development from the shadows, leading them toward this moment of truth. The question was, would humanity accept their destiny, or cling to a form that could no longer protect them from what was coming? The Centaurian diplomatic station hung like a jeweled spider's web in space, its crystalline structures reflecting starlight in hypnotic patterns. Ambassador Dara Singh watched the gathered representatives of 20 different species from her position at the central podium, their varied forms illuminated by the soft bioluminescence of the chamber. The evidence is undeniable, she concluded, the quantum displays behind her showing the entity's destructive path through the galaxy. This threat concerns all of us. Humanity requests not just your support, but your partnership in facing what's coming. First Speaker Thaxel of the Centaurian Alliance rose, his crystalline form catching the light. You speak of partnership, yet your colonial fleet spent centuries hiding their evolution from the galaxy. Why should we trust humans now? Before Singh could respond, a new hologram materialized in the chamber center. Captain Ryland Voss of the Horizon's Dawn, his form subtly altered since their last transmission, evolution continuing even now. We hid because we had to, Voss explained, his voice resonating with harmonics that made several alien delegates shift uncomfortably. The entity is drawn to concentrated technological advancement. If we had revealed ourselves too soon, we would have drawn it to populated space before anyone was ready. Dr. Marcus Wong stepped forward from his position near the Earth delegation, his hands moving through data streams as he spoke. We've discovered similar patterns of evolutionary preparation in other species' genetic codes. The colonial fleet wasn't the first to face this threat. They were just the first in our time to recognize the signs. The chamber erupted in multiple languages as various species representatives accessed their own genetic databases, confirming Wong's claims. Ambassador Singh watched as realization spread through the gathering. This wasn't just humanity's fight. There's more, Commander Patil announced, entering the chamber with Admiral Rodriguez. The colonial fleet's deep space probes have detected quantum disturbances consistent with the entity's feeding patterns. It's not just accelerating, it's dividing. New data filled the displays, showing multiple dark masses spreading through space like cosmic cancer. The chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. They weren't just facing one threat, but many. We've spent centuries preparing humanity for evolution, Voss continued. But what we've learned suggests that true survival requires something more: convergent evolution across multiple species. Each of our races carries different pieces of the solution in their genetic code. First Speaker Thaxel's crystalline form vibrated with concern. You propose we all follow your path of transformation. Become something other than what we are. No, Singh interjected, her voice firm. We propose we all become more of what we already are. The colonial fleet's research suggests the entity has visited this galaxy many times over millions of years. Each time, it forced species to evolve, adapt, survive. And each surviving species carried the genetic memory of those adaptations forward. Dr. Wong activated new displays, showing genetic markers across multiple species. These aren't just similarities. They're complementary adaptations, as if something in our collective past knew we would need to work together. to combine our evolutionary potential. Admiral Rodriguez stepped forward, his weathered face grave. Earth's governments have already begun implementing the integration protocols. The first wave of evolutionary adaptations is proving more successful than we hoped. But alone, it won't be enough. The chamber filled with murmurs as representatives accessed the data, seeing the truth in the genetic patterns. Their very DNA carried the legacy of ancient survival, waiting to be awakened. We don't have centuries to prepare like the colonial fleet did, Singh continued. But we have their knowledge, their technology, and most importantly, we have each other. The entity may consume individual species, but it's never faced a united galaxy working together, combining their evolutionary potential. First Speaker Thaxel raised his crystalline appendages, a gesture of deep thought among his kind. And if we refuse, if we choose to face this threat as we are, then we face extinction, separately, Voss replied simply. The entity doesn't negotiate, doesn't show mercy. It consumes, adapts, and moves on. Our only choice is to evolve faster than it can adapt to us. Singh watched as understanding spread through the chamber. The political maneuvering and species rivalry that had dominated galactic relations for centuries began to fade in the face of extinction. But she knew the hardest part was still to come. Convincing ancient races to change everything, they were to face a threat they couldn't fully comprehend. As the gathered representatives began serious discussions about implementing cross-species evolution protocols, Singh shared a knowing look with Commander Patel. The next few months would reshape not just humanity, but every sentient species in the galaxy. The question was, would they complete their transformation in time? The combined fleet of 20 species stretched across the void, their ships transformed by months of accelerated evolution. At its heart, the Horizon's Dawn led the Earth vessels, their hulls now alive with the same adaptive metalloids as their colonial siblings. Commander Nira Patil stood on her transformed bridge. The Artemis's systems interfaced directly with her enhanced consciousness. Multiple quantum ruptures detected, Dr. Marcus Wong announced, his voice resonating through the fleet's shared consciousness. His body shimmered with bioluminescent patterns matching those of their Centaurian allies. The entity is approaching through subspace. Admiral Rodriguez's voice echoed through the quantum network linking all ships. Remember your training. Every species, every ship has its role. We are no longer separate races. We are life itself, standing against the void. Space twisted before them, reality folding as massive dark shapes emerge. The entities, now numbering 5, moved like liquid darkness through the stars, their very presence distorting the laws of physics. They're larger than our projections, Captain Voss transmitted from the Horizon's Dawn. They've been feeding on systems beyond our sensor range. Ambassador Singh's consciousness touched the fleet's network from her position on Earth. The planetary defense grid is active. All colonies are implementing final evolution protocols. We stand ready. The entities moved with terrible purpose toward the fleet, their forms defying traditional matter. But this time, they faced something unprecedented. Multiple species evolved specifically to combat them, their transformations guided by centuries of preparation. Now, Rodriguez commanded. The fleet moved as one organism, ships flowing into formations impossible for their original forms. Centaurian vessels crystallized space itself, creating geometric patterns that redirected the entity's gravitational distortions. Earth ships, enhanced by colonial fleet technology, fired weapons that didn't destroy matter but transformed it, converting the very substance of space into barriers. The entities reacted with ancient intelligence, adapting their assault. But as they changed tactics, the fleet's hybrid crews evolved in real time, their enhanced genetics responding to the threat. Every defeat was absorbed into their collective knowledge, every success immediately shared across species. They're trying to divide us, Patil observed, feeling the pull of the entity's attempt to isolate and consume individual ships. Everyone, remember the convergence protocols. Throughout the fleet, Crews of different species joined consciousness more deeply, their various evolutionary adaptations combining in ways the entities had never encountered. Centaurian crystalline patterns merged with human quantum processing, while other species added their own unique adaptations to the whole. Dr. Wang's voice cut through the chaos. The entities are showing signs of confusion. They've never encountered synchronized evolution before. Their adaptation patterns are becoming erratic. The battle stretched across space and dimensions, neither side wholly comprehensible to unmodified observers. Ships transformed into pure energy, then reformed with new capabilities. Crews evolved through multiple stages in minutes, their consciousness expanding beyond physical forms. Then, at a crucial moment, Ambassador Singh's voice rang through the network. The planetary defense grid is ready. All species initiate final convergence. The fleet's ships drew together, their forms merging into something greater than their individual parts. The entities, sensing the change, moved to consume this new configuration. But they had never faced the combined evolutionary potential of 20 species working in harmony. The merged fleet pulsed with energy drawn from multiple dimensions, channeling power through the same quantum pathways the entities used to consume reality. But instead of destroying, they transformed. Space itself began to change around them, reorganizing according to patterns encoded in their combined genetic memory. The entities tried to adapt, but for the first time in their ancient existence, they faced something evolving faster than they could consume. The fleet's merged form continued to change, incorporating aspects of the entities themselves, turning their own consumption against them. Full convergence achieved, Voss announced, his consciousness now one with the collective. Initiating final protocol. Reality rippled as the merged fleet released the full potential of their combined evolution. The entities, caught in patterns they couldn't adapt to quickly enough, began to lose cohesion. Their darkness was transformed, converted by the same processes they had used to consume countless civilizations. When it was over, the fleet separated back into individual ships, though all were forever changed by the experience. Where the entities had been, new stars were forming, their matter transformed from destructive to creative force. Deep space sensors confirm, Wang reported, his voice thick with awe. No trace of the entities remains in this galaxy. Patil looked out at the transformed fleet, seeing how each ship and crew now carried aspects of all participating species. They had not just survived, they had transcended, becoming something entirely new while still retaining their essential natures. The threat is gone. Rodriguez transmitted to all ships and worlds. But our evolution isn't over. We've only begun to understand what we can become together. Ambassador Singh's final transmission echoed through the network. Today marks not just victory, but transformation. We are no longer simply allies. We are the next step in galactic evolution, and our journey is just beginning. As the fleet began its return journey, Patil reflected on how far they'd come. The colonial fleet's centuries of preparation had led not just to humanity's survival, but to the birth of something unprecedented. A galactic civilization ready to evolve together into whatever the future might hold.